really don't want your modern diesel vehicle taking an expensive unscripted dump in the bed anytime soon. A DPF or injectors oozing excrement in the sheets is undignified and expensive, especially if such a thing can be easily prevented. The Triton's coming up for 7, which is nearly 50 in dog years, and I want it to age disgracefully. Kind of like me, proudly flipping the bird to every queue of EVs I see stranded for hours, waiting to charge up to get home after the holiday weekend, as opposed to, you know, sending me a bill that I can't possibly jump over. Every 3 months lately, I've been running this mad chemical preventative maintenance experiment. And I'd suggest if you've got a car broadly like mine, you might like to have a crack as well, because it's such cheap insurance, frankly. And I've just done a deal with Auto One and Nulon to get you 35% off until the 10th of July. That works out to be about $25 once every 3 months, or roughly $100 a year, which frankly is chump change compared with the $30,000 a car maker's going to want to charge you for a brand new engine. Check the description for full details, but if I were you, I'd just rock down to my local Auto One right now and grab a year's worth, which would be 2 of each bottle. That's going to be in total more than $50 off right now. If you pick up a year's worth right now, it's going to come in under $100, and the program itself is so simple, okay? You just do one thing now at the end of financial year, and then 6 months later, roughly Christmas time, you do the same thing. And then 3 months out of phase with that, in say spring and autumn, you just do the complementary thing. So it's 4 applications a year and you are sorted. We've got 2 of each. The diesel fuel system extreme clean, which is the deposit control additive one. And what it does is it just gets into the fuel system and stops deposits from gumming up your injectors. And alongside that, in the out of phase window, you use the diesel turbo cleaner, which is the catalyst one that survives combustion, flows down through the exhaust and gets rid of soot deposits where they gum up the works and create problems with turbos and DPFs and EGR valves. This could not be simpler. And when you think about the problems that it could solve potentially and the cost of that, it really is a no-brainer. Quite important to set expectations, I think, in relation to stuff of this nature, because this is molecules of chemical engineering in a can, as opposed to magic. And by that, I mean it's not a universal cure-all for the problems that might assail your ute right at the moment. And what that means is, if your car has a hardware problem right now, then this is not the cure. And if you don't service it properly or on time, then not the cure. And if you just don't drive it often enough to warm it up and allow the sump oil to reach normal operating temperature and evaporate off all the volatile components that blow past the cylinders when the engine is cold, and also long enough to regenerate the DPF, then not the cure, okay? So you have to have a balanced approach to what is possible and what is not. That's super important. The hardware defect thing can be simple or complex, and that means that if, for example, your DPF light is on and it's essentially a solid brick of accumulated sludge, then not the cure, okay? If your turbo blows up, not the cure. Stuff like that. Straightforward hardware defects, dead easy to diagnose. However, some of them can be properly insidious, and they require properly experienced mechanics who understand the actual issues and have actual time to devote to actual diagnosis, and then the brains to put a proper preventative maintenance program in place to stop that happening again. So here's an example of that. You can kill your DPF, or it can die, is a better way of putting that, if you've got a piece of rubber hose in the inlet air pathway that's after the turbo and after the MAF sensor, okay? And over time, it can just wear and develop a pinhole. And that means the air on the way into the engine at any snapshot in time has been measured, so yay. But the engine thinks this much air is going in, and some of it is venting to atmosphere. You're losing a little bit, and that means it's going to be overfueling because the computer thinks this much air requires this much fuel, but you've only got this much air. Some of that fuel's not going to burn properly. It's going to go down the exhaust, it's going to get caught in your DPF, and it's going to turn it into a solid block of sludge. Your light comes on, and all of a sudden you're looking at a multi-$1,000 repair bill, which kind of sucks, but happens all the time. The fix is not molecules in a bottle. Clearly, it's diagnosis, get a better hose, fix that, replace the DPF or clean it out if it's amenable to rejuvenation in that way. And then to say, well, my car lasted 7 years on that hose and I put a better silicone aftermarket hose in place, but I think I'll give it 5 years and then just replace it, kind of thing. That would be smart. See, what stuff like this does is it doesn't do magic, repairs, it doesn't repair a blocked DPF. What it does is it extends the operational envelope of the functioning components you've got now, right? So your DPF will regenerate at a slightly lower temperature more often, and that gives it more bandwidth for successful operation. And likewise with turbo actuators and things of that nature, they just get cleaned a little bit more often, and that's a happy result for ongoing longevity, but not a cure for ongoing maintenance. So chemical engineering with actual footings and foundations in reality, as opposed to Harry Potter in a can, which is yet to be designed. Here's what's going on under the hood commercially. Full disclosure, so you can make an accurate determination about whether or not to trust me. Auto One is paying the production cost of this video, and that's kind of important to me because I'm just like a chippy or a welder or something. I don't like turning up and doing my job without getting paid. Go figure. They've got a commercial relationship with Nulon, obviously, because they sell the product. But I do not have a relationship with Nulon beyond, using the product and tipping it into my cars. So there's that. I just happen to think that this is a good idea in my usage case with these aging diesel vehicles, and I really do want to sidestep that potentially horrendous repair bill. And I think this is a way to do that. And if you're in that situation, I think it's a bloody good idea for you as well, frankly. So let's talk about alignment, because neither of those organisations is getting a say in what I say here. They're not seeing the video before you do, and they're not telling me what to say. There's no hand up the back, in other words. I'm not a puppet. Fuck that. The reason there's good alignment here is because you're getting 35% off a quality product. Auto One's getting to sell more product, so Nulon's getting to sell more product. And I'm getting a win because I'm not turning up and laying beads on a plate for nothing. And frankly, it really is that simple. And if all media disclosed financial content creation arrangements were aligned in this way, then I don't think there'd be any problem whatsoever with any of it. But let me know if you think I'm a sellout in the comments. Someone's going to think it. And care factor, 0. It's not especially controversial to say that modern diesel engines, on balance, have a problem. There's plenty of evidence to support that operationally out there on the highways and city streets. In between Grandpappy's Massey Ferguson and today's dual cab utility, diesels got really complex. They gained computerized injection control with piezoelectric injectors and variable geometry turbos and DPFs and EGRs and all kind of technological stuff. And this is overwhelmingly good news. You get a spectacular hike in mid-range power delivery, great responsiveness, spectacular improvement in emissions, which is tremendous for human health. The feedback effect, though, is complexity went through the roof, and it, of course, is the enemy of reliability. Some manufacturers chased showroom floor numbers like power and efficiency, and some chased certification at all costs, and they did that a little too enthusiastically because some didn't do their homework on longevity as diligently as they might have, unfortunately. But one of the main problems in play here is the ambient diesel fuel that you pump into your vehicle. It is a complex chemical cocktail, and it's underdone if you care about your vehicle's longevity. According to Nulon, these specific chemical giants here supply additive packs to the global fuel industry. You probably recognise Dow and Chevron, Lubrizol and BASF, but I'd never heard of the others. Maybe I need to get out more, but Afton and Vink, with names like that, they could actually be top shelf pornographers. Could they not, hypothetically? Except they're actually some of the world's leading chemical engineering conglomerates. There's all kinds of stuff added to diesel fuel before it gets to the bowser. Self-explanatory anti-foaming agents, biocides to kill microbes, plus cetane improvers to boost performance, emulsifiers to control water, stabilizers to boost shelf life, and anti-corrosive agents to protect the high-precision metal parts of the fuel system. So the diesel you buy is basically a chemical cocktail, the core of which is refined from crude oil. But plenty of stuff is added in before you get to tip that fuel into your vehicle. And again, according to Nulon, this has been going on for quite some time, roughly a century or so. These are facts, and they're very easy to verify. Look up the top there. One of the latest additive developments is the fuel-borne catalyst. Peugeot actually developed the first fuel-borne catalyst at around the turn of the century, specifically introduced to reduce the temperature at which you can make regeneration happen inside a DPF. Go figure, an actual technical problem solved by actual chemical engineering, and it takes only like 10 seconds and an internet connection to verify any of it. Pretty clearly, there are persistent long-term operational problems with things like DPFs and injectors. High-performance machinery with complex control architecture reliant on the smooth and precise interaction of hardware and chemical processes. It's complex, and complexity is always at war with reliability. And here are you and I stuck on the battlefield right in the middle between the two warring entities of complexity and reliability. And we've got plenty of skin in the game, because when the war is over and you've got to rebuild the cities, I know who's going to be picking up the tab on that. So, roughly 26 years after Peugeot deployed the world's first fuel-borne catalyst commercially, I asked ChatGPT if today fuel-borne catalysts were little more than sort of leftover snake oil. And here's what it told me. Today, fuel-borne catalysts are a mature niche technology. They are not snake oil in principle. The underlying chemistry is sound and was used in OEM systems, but the aftermarket version is often over-promoted. The proper claim is an FBC can lower soot oxidation temperature and assist DPF regeneration when the DPF is structurally healthy and the underlying engine and emission system is not defective. The improper claim is, pour this in and fix your blocked DPF. If the engine is overfueling, the EGR is malfunctioning, the turbo is passing oil, the DPF pressure sensor is lying, the ash load is excessive, or the car is only ever driven cold, an additive is at best a temporary assist. Which sounds like quite a balanced assessment to me. Like, yeah, helpful, but not magic, sorry. Which is just Goldilocks on my world, because that's a long way divorced from the average marketing horseshit claim. Fuel-borne catalysts help DPFs start to regenerate at temperatures lower than they normally would, such as, I don't know, on a little drive down to the local shops. These are metallic compounds that survive combustion and do mad chemical voodoo, removing soot in turbos, wastegates, variable geometry actuators, EGR valves, and of course, DPFs. Non-science version. FBCs take soot out behind the shed like the traitor it is, and they shoot it unsympathetically in the back of the head. According to Nulon, FBCs remove soot from post-combustion engine systems including DPFs, EGR valves, turbos, wastegates and catalytic converters. This claim lines up completely with what FBCs actually do. Like, it's not bullshit. The other interesting treatment vector is deposit control additives, which are essentially detergent for diesel. See, if FBCs go to work after combustion inside exhaust systems, deposit control additives do their thing inside the fuel system as the fuel is flowing downstream in the queue to do the combustion magic that makes shit actually happen. According to Nulon, DCAs maintain or restore, depending on the dose, and their main function is to prevent or scrub away deposits that clog injectors. Speaking of which, you don't actually need that much of a deposit to clog a modern injector because the hole delivering the fuel is roughly the same diameter as a human hair. Here's the problem. These chemicals exist. They've clearly been engineered at great expense to do these particular important jobs. But worryingly enough, according to Nulon, standard diesel fuel in Australia does not contain any of that stuff. No deposit control additives to clean injectors on the way in, and no soot-killing catalysts for exhaust on the way out. Premium diesel contains only the maintenance dose of deposit control additive and no catalyst whatsoever. The long-term operational reliability of modern diesels is a real issue. It's partly the systematic complexity of the hardware, and it's partly a deficiency in the composition of our fuel. So basically, I've decided that it's very cheap insurance to pump up the additives. I've been doing this quarterly, and it's less than $30 a shot right now, which is like 0.1% of the cost of a brand new engine. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm crazy, and I promise not to care, like at all. The one that says fuel system is the industro-spec dose of deposit control additives that'll stop your injectors from having a stroke. And the one that says turbo cleaner is the fuel-borne catalyst one that will probably disqualify you from entering the soot accumulation Olympics. That's got to be the world's simplest low-cost diesel disaster prevention protocol. You just have to remember to do 4 things every year. You can put them in your calendar. It's like end of financial year, spring, Christmas, autumn, repeat. Or if you're a total insufferable nerd, I can think of one off the top of my head. How about you do it like this? Every solstice, you stick one of these in, and then every equinox, you do the other one. The main thing is equally spaced 4 times every lap of the sun. 35% off these premium diesel additives from Nulon at your local Auto One store until the 10th of July. Whip down to the physical store if you possibly can and grab it over the counter because, to be perfectly frank, shipping it can be a bit of a bar steward. Anyway, 35% off, certainly not trivial, and your DPF and injectors will be most appreciative. And look, whatever you do, when you're finished with the contents, for God's sake, don't throw the bottle in the recycling. It's far too good for that. In fact, in 10 minutes with just basic hand tools, you can turn this baby into the ultimate home workshop cutting lubricant dispenser, and it's gonna be spill proof. So no more expensive cleanups in aisle 2 when you get a little bit over enthusiastic with the clutter, if you know what I mean. I'll show you exactly how to do that in the next video. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget the special at Auto One.